Do you like monsters?
Do you like Dungeons and Dragons?
Do you like monsters and dungeons and dragons?
Then do we have a show for you?
Kill Every Monster is a bi-weekly DM deep dive into every monster in the manual. The first part is a discussion about creature mechanics and lore, and the second half is a one-shot AP where the guest takes on the role of the monster.
Each episode of Kill Every Monster is a contained story, so you never have to worry about being caught up or listening out of order. Pick any monster you like and jump right in.
KP joined us to share the stories he grew up with in our Rakshasa episode, and then took the villainous route for a truly epic AP showdown.
You say these lands are yours to claim. You say that you have dominion over all things. I disagree. I believe the land escapes your claws, and I wish to prove it. I shall become the object of your hunt. Capture me, and you have proven your claim over these lands. Should I elude you, you must give way.
You just see him stare at you for a second, and then you just hear a low rumbling noise. And eventually it starts building, and you realize he's laughing.
Oh, that is intriguing. My afternoon is free. I'll entertain it.
His eyes never leave yours, but there is a very deep and respectful bow.
Then the hunt has begun.
And slam my staff onto the ground and cast Earthquake. To find out more about the show and where you can listen, head on over to killeverymonster.com.
And we'll see you next time
For Kill Every Monster. My name is Aram. My pronouns are he, him. Welcome back to Godsfall.
My name is Michael. My pronouns are he, him. I play Xion Praeten, the newly arisen god of force.
My name is Doug, and my pronouns are he and him, and I play Dorro Knott, the newly arisen god of travel.
My name is Joe. My pronouns are he, him, and I play Lord Haldir Loran, the newly arisen god of war.
My name is Kelly. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Rina Falaval, the arisen god of light.
So Xion and Para went back to bed. Dorro was on the prow with his little godstone that he stole from me, and is etching with the symbol. Haldir would like to continue to spy on Automil, please.
Automil would go back to his room, and he is holding this silver charm that he had. He's whispering some words in Elven to it, which are like fly and flight and take flight, like different ways of saying fly. He looks frustrated, and he just kind of tosses it on the bed and sits back, leans against the bulkhead, and is clearly meditating.
I want to make sure there's nothing connected to this camera. Like, I want to try and trace back to see if I can see where this energy is coming from, who placed it here, who's watching, that sort of thing.
I would like you to roll your divinity.
I think I exited out of D&D Beyond, so just give me a second. Sorry.
God damn it, Joe, you're fucking funny.
I'll play Haldir.
Oh, we can trade. I'll play Dorro.
What? No, that wasn't on the deal.
We are absolutely doing a body swap episode at some point. That is 100% going to happen.
Yay!
I rolled an 8, so it's going to be 11 total.
There is a connection, and you follow it back. And it, like, you can feel it fire out over the water in front of a Steelbeard and just race back towards the northern peninsula. And as it's getting there, you start to feel resistance. And before you get really fully even onto Brennus, it just splinters and shatters, just falls into a million pieces of divine dust. And then just kind of like back in your room.
Can I reach out and make sure the camera's still there?
The camera is still there, and it is still moving around. When you don't take direct control over it, it's still moving around.
Can I sever the connection?
God of cameras.
Yeah, go ahead and roll divinity.
Or demigod of cameras.
So wait, it went toward Brennus, and then it...
It was rocketing towards the Ironwood, towards northern Brennus, and then just kind of faltered.
So I rolled a 13, so that's 16 total.
Instead of trying to reach forward, you pull back and with your hand scoop up nothing in front of you, but like you're making the movement, and you can feel it in your hand for a moment, and there's resistance, and then you just kind of feel it snap. In that moment, you hear two cries, and then silence. And you know that this is disconnected now.
Does he recognize the cries at all?
Roll an intelligence.
So 13 total.
You're pretty sure it was your grandmother.
Both of them?
Just one of them.
Okay.
The other voice you've never heard before.
Mother Astor. So it got towards about how far offshore was it?
Maybe I'd be like 100 miles. Like it was headed towards the direction of the Ironwood. You're assuming it came from there, but Ryland is past there too, so it could have been Ryland. There's a couple things it could have been.
Once Automil takes his, meditation, I, do the same.
And then I guess everyone's resting for the evening then. Dawn breaks. It is a clear, beautiful day, blustery, windy, in your direction. So you're making pretty good speed right now. Steelbeard's up. He's setting out waters and making salads, getting you guys prepared for the day. Para's up, throwing the curtains back. Good morning, Xion.
Let's see, it's Eton, I think. Yeah. So what is Eton?
Eton is like mid-September. Starting to cool.
Okay, yes. So as soon as I wake up, whatever, I, get dressed and, fix my hair. And
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
And I would talk to Steelbeard. I'd say, Steelbeard.
Oh, good morning, Xion.
Could you create for us a workspace where we could all discuss? A sort of war room, I suppose.
Of course. I can do that.
And you hear like shifting and cracking and bending from beneath you, and the whole deck shudders.
Done.
Steelbeard, could you create some sort of map of the area for us? On some sort of plane, like a table. Downstairs in this room now, he is creating like a topical relief map. That can change, by the way, that it can make it move. So, like, you could, like, scroll. Well, yes,
and, like, get
I
more
fully
maps. Yeah.
expect that. So.
We have an iPad.
Do a little pinch and zoom.
Right.
Yeah, except it's all raised wood.
Right,
Like,
right,
it's
right.
all different levels of wood. Yeah. It's like those...
well, with
those
some little
pin
tiny
things
leaves in there, too, for, like, to show the trees and,
For texture. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Satellite
Yeah.
view,
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. He like, pulls water in to, like, form oceans.
Hell yeah.
And show us our location.
So everything's like moving, and like wood blocks are shifting around to like this little wooden peg comes up to represent him.
Excellent. So now I'll just sort of eat breakfast and wait for other people to wake up and come into the room.
Imagine at some point everyone files in.
No, I would be in the crow's nest scanning for Caitlyn.
I was gonna say, it's kind of good. It's probably good that we keep Dorro
Yeah,
there.
no, I'm totally fine with that.
Can
Totally fine
Can
with that.
Steelbeard make like a, I don't know, like those systems in old houses where they would like be able to listen?
A little horn,
Yeah, so that Dorro can still hear everything, and
In fact, when I was on submarines, there's two systems of communication. There's the normal one, right? But then there's the sound-powered phone, where you just shout into it, and anywhere on the boat can be heard because it can travel through those pipes. I don't see why he couldn't make something like that.
Oh, it's like absolutely. A can and a string, you know?
Basically.
Like a cup and a
basically,
string.
it's that. Yeah. If all the power goes out on a submarine, that's how we would talk to each other.
Just by yelling.
Just by yelling, yep. As you're up there, Dorro, like a brass horn forms behind you. Basically, like made out of wood.
Hey, Dorro!
It's just me, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, keep a lookout. We're going to be down here talking. So if you have anything to say, let us know. If you see anything, tell us.
Will do.
All right, and this map is formed in front of you.
So is Automil there?
Automil's there.
And Haldir, do you also join us?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if there's planning to be done, fuck you, it's going to be there.
It's battle planning, that's right.
Yes. All right. We know our enemy. We know who we're fighting. So let's go over it. We have Grabby Hands. He has the power to use our powers against us.
Grab hands.
He has the power to use our powers against us and to mold flesh.
Oh, yeah, that too.
At all costs, we must avoid physical contact with him. Also, physical damage seems to do absolutely nothing to him. I don't know how fire works. That seems to work pretty well, though.
Yeah, I bet it would work well.
And yeah, well, he has it coming. And then Tiago Reese. Rina, what are his powers?
He's good at bow.
Parkour.
Yeah, parkour.
His powers are, he's definitely the god of parkour.
He's got a parkour.
Parkour.
He can learn like how you do fighting stuff. Like he can mimic you, kind of if he sees you for long enough.
So the more encounters you have with him, the more dangerous he gets.
Good news is I'm a shitty fighter, so
right.
Joke's on him.
Right.
And I've already practiced like against him in Caitlyn's dream world, so I'm like a little bit more prepared this time than I was before. But like,
absolutely.
And then he has like poison arrows, doesn't he? Or he did when I fought him.
He definitely has poison arrows. Yeah. He definitely uses poison. Every trick in the book he is going to use.
Yeah.
And y'all have mentioned that he's able to somehow change his form.
He's got the mask that changes his face.
He has a magical item that allows him to look like other people.
Because he looked like the melon lady. Blah, blah, blah.
And Randall.
Yeah. True.
Fucking Randall.
Fucking Randall.
All right.
That was my best moment as a DM. I love that moment so much.
Fuck you.
And then Haldir, what are Balaam's powers?
Balaam is a slod.
A red slod.
She is the god of sewers. What those specific powers entail, I'm afraid I don't know.
But we do know that if we're going to face them in the city of Skyhaven, that there are a number of sewers there, and that might pose a problem for us.
Correct. I also know that she can regenerate, and regenerate rather quickly. So picking her off a little at a time will not work. Taking on Balaam may require all of us at once. One large hit, if possible, many in succession, would likely be the best way to take her down. And then there's also, unless Xion has a question.
No, my question was about if you're done with her abilities, as far as you know, was about Bam Bam or Boom
Bang
Boom
Bang.
Boom. Or what
Bam
did you
Bam
say?
is a small child who hits people with clubs.
Yeah, Wham Pow. His name was Wham Pow now.
Wham Pow.
Kablow Kablow. What he does, he is the god of guns. I am the god of war, so I may summon any weapon that I have touched. And I summon this gun.
Those are the projectile weapons you were...
Including projectile weapons. And I place, the glowing handgun on the table in front of us.
Can other people pick up his weapons?
Here's the thing. Haldir can make guns, and he can make them permanent. Okay? So yeah, you can pick up that gun.
When I traveled in the future, they have created projectile weapons like you've never imagined. And Bang Bang can summon them, any of them. I can only summon these because I have touched them. I fought him, I killed him, I have touched some of his weapons. He has many more.
Perhaps you should kill him once he has more.
Okay.
That's legitimately, that's something that Haldir's been thinking about, right?
Well, you know how to kill him and take his power.
That's right.
You actually figured it out last time.
So
Yeah.
if we can, I'd prefer to, take
He's
on.
mine. Right?
He's
Right.
mine.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
We're all calling our dance partners here, right?
Because if Haldir was suddenly given every handheld gun there is,
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, Haldir's power. Okay, out of game. Haldir's power is even greater, though. If only you had just been able to like infiltrate like the
Pentagon,
like the Pentagon. No, not the Pentagon.
Nuke.
Like get a nuke. Yeah,
we talked about that. It was totally. I mean, it could have happened.
Right.
Fortunately, he was in like downtown.
Well, remember that
New
like
York,
that bad Star Trek movie where like they like there were the whales and
Which
stuff.
one?
Where there were,
the whale one,
right? And they like
Right.
sneak onto a nuclear sub or something. You know,
They
like,
totally had to steal radiation directly from a sub for some reason. I couldn't, and it was an aircraft carrier. They were an aircraft carrier. Yeah. And then when they like gave that one scientist the recipe for transparent aluminum, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "How do I know he didn't invent the thing?" You know, there's that whole thing. Yeah. That was like parts of that movie were fun. Parts of the movie were a lot of fun. Parts of it were really stupid though.
right.
You know?
So I wonder if Haldir had ended up on an aircraft carrier if he could summon the whole thing. Anyway, go ahead.
You're good.
He could definitely summon the weapons, which would be, I mean, just one of those machine gun turrets alone would be an unstoppable force.
So I have a question about the gun. If he makes a gun permanent, so like does his god power give it infinite ammo, or do I have to, like, if I took the gun, would I have to get ammo?
If he hands you a gun, it's loaded, right? If he hands you a gun, it's going to be loaded. So let's say that he hands you a Glock, it's got 11 rounds in the chamber. Pow, 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 pow. You fire off 11 rounds. It's empty. You can't get new bullets. If you hand the gun back to him, you go, and then, and then give it to you again. But without that, I mean, once you run out the bullets, it's over.
Okay, so
Well, the question is,
so
how much of this does Haldir actually know? Like, that's the thing. He hasn't
Well, he's
really
never
practiced.
tried
I've never
it.
tried.
Right.
So
But
Okay. Let's go back into the game. So, I would say, so these projectile weapons, Haldir, can you create more of them? Can we use them?
And I, the one down at the table, I look at it, and then concentrating on keeping that one there, I summon another.
another of the same kind,
Same kind.
that you can't do.
Okay, so that disappears. So then the one that I've summoned, I place back on the table, and then I try to summon, because there's a handgun on the table. Try
Sure.
and summon a shotgun.
The Tommy gun or something?
Yeah.
Sure. That you can do. And the other gun stays there. And so you can summon one of each type of gun.
So then I place the shotgun on the table, and I do the same for each of the types that I have. So I have the shotgun, the Tommy gun,
Yep.
the handgun, and the sniper rifle, I believe.
Absolutely. All of them. No problem. You could have all four in existence at the same time.
If it is all right with you, Haldir, I'm going to attempt to pick one of these up. I've seen enough of this to know that end shoots somehow this projectile. So I know not to like put it to my face, like.
Do you pick up the pistol? That would be like the least threatening
definitely
one.
the pistol.
It feels just like it's very similar to holding a crossbow, just without the bow part.
Keep your finger away from the lever.
Yes, of course. I've used crossbows. I understand the basic mechanism.
Blam!
Oh, Para, I'm sorry.
Welcome to a new Dungeon & Dragons podcast about monsters. Kill Every Monster takes on a new creature each week, discussing its mechanics and lore with a special guest. Then we turn that monster over to our guest and put our ideas into practice with an actual play scenario DM'd by Dylan Mollenfont. For our pilot episode, we were joined by Orlany Dool as we tackled the Banshee.
It is your turn.
I would like to necrotic his face, please. The old corrupting touch.
Corrupting Touch. A melee spell attack with a +4 to hit and a 5-foot reach. If successful, the Banshee inflicts 3d6 + 2 necrotic damage.
Haha. That's a 23 to hit.
Ooh, that is unfortunately going to hit. Yeah, that's definitely going to hit me.
Another good one. That's 12 necrotic. No, +4. Hold on, wait 1 second. No, +2, I think. Yeah, so 14 necrotic damage.
Ooh. To listen to this full episode and find out more about the show, head on over to killeverymonster.com.
So it stays permanent in my hand, however.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, today we're going to be practicing with these and figure out how to use them. I don't know if they'll be of any use, but perhaps as a secondary weapon, it might be useful for us. If that's all right with you, Haldir.
Steelbeard can make like little floaties out in the ocean if you guys want to take shots and like do target practice.
I think that makes a ton of sense. It seems like Rina, who's extremely practiced with the bow, might work really well with the sniper, but it's different.
Okay, so we understand our enemies. We know what we're fighting. We should discuss strategy, and then I suggest we train in shooting, and then we can break for lunch. How does that sound as an agenda item for everyone?
Yeah, that sounds great. I love this structure. Haldir's like, yes, structure. Yes.
Haldir's like, well, I kind of hate them, but I do like a plan.
It's refreshing.
Is he able to make like? Can he make like a scope and then like a sniper rifle that still has a scope? Like, is that like a?
The sniper rifle that he has a scope.
Yeah, I know, but could he just make like a scope?
So like a spotter scope.
No. When you touch a weapon, like it's all in one thing. So that scope is part of that weapon. Can you make a scope on its own? No. But you can make it as part of that sniper rifle.
He only knows a set amount of guns then.
Right. He only knows these 4 guns he's touched.
Okay.
Cool. Well, so they have the advantage of having come from the future. So they have some technology that we have not yet developed. However, apparently we do have some coming from, of course, Haldir, and a little bit coming from me. But you're
making the technology.
I'm making the technology that they will be using, including those frickin' headsets. So we must remove them from the equation. If they can teleport anywhere using those, we've got to get them away, especially from grabby hands. So I would suggest our first course of action when we come to battle is to remove that from him using my power. And then we need to find a way to attack grabby hands, and I doubt these projectile weapons are going to be of much use against him. We've already attempted to use arrows, and it has done absolutely no good.
So a second option, if we cannot discover a good way to attack and kill him while still fighting everyone else, is to find a way to get him gone. My understanding is that Dorro has... Do we know that what Dorro's done with the crystal, by the way?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
We do know, however, that he has a teleportation circle. We do know that he has 2 teleportation circles. One on the ship and one at the Spear of Jordan.
So
right.
Can I talk to Dorro?
So smart.
Well, yeah, there's a little corn.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Dorro.
Just like right behind you.
I forgot that was there. Why?
You teleport an individual
Yes.
without needing to touch them.
Oh. I don't think I've ever tried to do that before. I usually always make physical contact when I do it. Over.
Zion. If we're
He doesn't say that. He wouldn't know that. He doesn't say that. I don't say that.
Maybe you made it up.
Send message.
Maybe you're the first one to do it.
He's coined it. He's coined the phrase.
That's
No!
how sending works. Maybe
start
every single
logic.
mage goes 25 words, but has to leave 1 word for over.
I
So
mean, like,
the other
you could just
person
be
knows.
like, I feel like Dorro would just be like, okay, I'm done.
Now you go.
It's your turn now.
So, Zion, is there, out of what you know from Dorro's powers and of your technology, would there be could you conceive of a way to allow Dorro to teleport without the need to physically touch?
Yes, it would involve sacrificing a battery, but yes, it could be done. He would have to infuse a battery with his divine power and be launched as some sort of projectile or thrown or use my force power or something in order to entangle itself in some way with whoever it was, attempting to teleport. And then theoretically they would teleport wherever he wanted them to go.
Couldn't he also just practice his divinity more so that he might be able to just look at someone and teleport them?
It's
Man,
possible,
it might
but we only have
So
we only have 2
fucking
days,
OP.
so like
There's a question there because we've done this before, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think you can be teleported against your will.
yeah, but we don't know
It's
that.
like it has to be a willing
that's
They have
creature.
true.
to make an opposing save if they
Yeah.
don't want to.
Well, no, you do know that because Dorro has tried to teleport people against their will before.
No,
Or at least
and
people-
he's succeeded though.
Yeah, early
but he
on.
succeeded
Yeah.
just yesterday. He teleported Nira, who was frightened and didn't know
Right.
what the hell was happening. And if she
That's
had any
true.
will, would
That
have said,
wasn't
"Don't teleport me."
necessarily against her will.
She was friendly. She's
Like
a
she didn't know
friendly
what was
creature.
happening.
Yeah.
And the instinct would have been that like he was getting her away from the danger, so she may have just gone with that instinct. If you're trying to teleport someone who knows what teleport is and is fighting you, it might be harder. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there would definitely be like at least a saving throw. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be opposed, but I mean, Dorro's power is not inconsequential.
So here's how we're going to homebrew this. If Dorro grabs someone to teleport them against their will, it's a grapple check. If he wins the grapple check, they go with him. If it's a distance thing, which is something Dorro cannot do right now, but it sounds like you guys have a pretty good plan to figure that out. If you do it at a distance, they get to make a will save against Dorro's divinity score at advantage. So it's easier if he grabs them, but it's possible either way.
So,
I'd love to see you teleport grabby hands 1,000 miles in the air.
well, no, that wouldn't do us any good. I mean,
We'll
not
just
that
float,
he
right.
would just, grow wings or something.
I'd have to put him in space.
Grow little flesh wings and
So if we could put
glide
him in
down.
space or put him far enough down to the bottom of the ocean that the pressure kills him.
Sure.
Why would the pressure kill him? You're assuming
That's
that he can't change the density of his own flesh.
That's a really fascinating point.
Does he even need oxygen?
Yeah. Could he not grow gills? And who knows? As far as I know, if he has complete control over flesh, nothing in that regard can hurt him. I do have a theory that fire can hurt him, and that is why I don't see why. Well, if we were able to destroy that flesh monster mostly with fire, I don't see why he wouldn't also suffer the same fate.
You're up against two people who can adapt in two very different ways. One that can adapt to anything physical, and one that can also adapt to anything physical, but in a very different way. So you're against two people that can adapt to whatever you throw at them, except maybe fire, which is very hard to adapt to.
Right. Hard to do. So kill it with fire, basically. But the problem is, of course, he will know that, and he has been after Para from the very beginning. So probably because he saw it as his greatest threat, and I see why. So I guess...
Would there be a way to trap him in place using some combination of our powers?
Yeah. I don't see why I couldn't create some sort of force circle around him. Not completely around him, just around his waist or something to hold him in place. You could try to sort of
anyone's
sliver
got a
around
chance of stopping him in that way, you are the best option, clearly.
Right. I don't see why I couldn't. And then Para could shoot him with fire as everybody blasts him with guns using your luck. And
the biggest issue with this is that it necessitates a total focus on grabby hands, right?
Right. And we don't know the terrain we're going into. We only know that they're all
That's
around
true.
each other.
Yep.
We have no idea and no way of knowing, unless we're able to see into the future with Golden Barrel or something, or Caitlyn, who of course we can't. We have no way of knowing where they are, what we're facing exactly. Are they in some warehouse? Are they in some church square or temple square? Are they in some sort of field? I doubt it, and we're not probably going to be able to choose our own terrain.
And their numbers have grown. We are fighting 4 of them now.
Is there a way to draw them out?
We know that he has followers, and they also have some sort of divine ability that has been granted to them. Now, I've been working on trying to build the Church of Xion, but it hasn't gone so well so far. But give it time. Give it time.
This is the first time you've had to breathe in 3 months, so yeah.
I keep telling people to worship me. That's all I have to do. It's super easy. But until then, I don't. And he has some followers somehow and has granted them with some sort of... Oh, yes, I forgot to mention. So he has some priests who have been infused with some sort of godstone paint or something along their extremities, which gives them some level of divine power. I wouldn't say nearly anything that we can do, but still.
At the time, it was scarier because you guys were first level.
Yeah,
now
but
it wouldn't
now
be so scary.
I think now that we can all kill with a thought, that's different. But still, yeah. So they're likely to be foot soldiers. I'm sorry. What was your original question, Haldir?
The question is whether or not. The ultimate question is whether or not we can choose the terrain. And we've been ambushed before, and so I wonder if there would be a way to put ourselves in a position to be ambushed again, but intentionally, to essentially draw them out.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So we would have to make ourselves known, right, in the city where they end up. And I mean, they took Caitlyn. They must know that we're chasing them.
I mean, they must.
And they came for her and no one else. They had the opportunity to attack the others, and they did not.
They would have found it very difficult to attack all of us at once. They knew what they were doing.
But why Caitlyn?
Because with her power, that's a good question. Why Caitlyn?
What were they planning to do with her? And why Para before?
Well, they weren't necessarily after Para. They were after his brother. But they took Para once they realized that he had been infused with divine energy.
Then why the sun and dreams? Why those two?
Theories, anyone?
Well, Caitlyn is the reason that I, at least, and I assume that most of us are able to move between worlds and realities. And so it's possible that they need her in order to bring back the people that they used to capture her.
Yes, but they've already somehow managed to travel between realities already, and
well,
time.
We are assuming that I think you're making some assumptions about time, right? Because
I'm going to assume that time and fate are against us completely.
This is like a 12 Monkeys loop. If you've ever seen that movie, this is
absolutely.
So it's like they needed Caitlyn to go
to have
bring in order for them to capture Caitlyn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they brought them back to a different time, which is a possibility. And very difficult storytelling, so good on you, Aram.
Yeah, right? I'm trying. Lots of options. Fortunately, with time travel, I can just be like, well, it's this other thing.
That's right. Yeah.
So that does work out.
Yeah, no, I will be so disappointed if you do that, Aram.
I'm not, don't worry. Okay. Don't worry. I got plans. plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, whatever.
Anyway.
Yes.
Do we have visions of Caitlyn, like, destroying stuff?
No.
Okay.
The only one that's had bad visions of Caitlyn is Caitlyn.
Right, and she hadn't shared that with us.
Did anybody see when... Okay, so this is a callback moment, but I'm just trying to figure things out. When Caitlyn, like, had her little treasure chest or whatever, and there was something dark inside of it, was she the
exactly
only...
what I was just talking about?
No, she has not told us.
She was the only one who saw that. In fact, she really didn't see everything that happened there. Yeah. That was always kind of left open.
Yeah, she hid it away. She knew about the future. She knew about Kadaria. She knew about all that. But she didn't want to, like, deal with it. You know, I'm saying this out of game because as a listener.
Also, she sees lots of potentials. So she can't really tell which one is the real one. She just puts away just the scariest ones go in the box.
Could she be a spy?
No.
For them. And they took her as a ruse.
Absolutely not. I've known Caitlyn since, well, we were children. Oh, we're still children, but I've known her since we were, 2. And
17-year-olds never refer to themselves as children.
No.
Yeah, they would definitely separate
I'm a
that,
fucking child. I'm 17.
Meanwhile, I'm like, you are a child. You are all children.
Also a child.
It's impossible to look at 16-year-olds
well, you know
fully take them seriously at 44 years old.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. Like, as a 40-year-old, whatever, 42-year-old, like, whenever you would play like Phryne's father who would say, "Yes, my child," I would be so mad always.
You'd be so pissed. It would be perfect.
Yes, my
exactly
child.
what he would do.
If you
he
ever
would
call
be
me
a condescending dick like that.
If you ever call me a child again, I will reach into your body with my mind and pull your withered, beating heart out of your body and crush it.
At this point, I don't think anyone is underestimating any of you.
Right. That would be rather stupid of them. So, like, at this point also, that is a bit of a disadvantage for us because no longer are they going to think, oh, these little stupid kids with their little baby powers. No. They know full well, we've already thwarted their plans on several occasions. Like, not thwarted completely, but at least slowed them down. And, they know enough now to fear us. And, if not fear, to be ready because they know.
Well, they've been taking measures against you. Like, they set up traps. They are definitely fully engaging with you as the enemy now. You could say the same thing about Kadar. They were using a magical construct to fight you. Kadar was. So the gloves seem to be off.
The MO of the crew of we're so powerful we can just burst in and tank this entire thing is maybe not the way to go. Instead, is there a way that we can secretly approach this place that we're going and isolate each one individually?
Perhaps using Golden Barrel. Yes.
They might know where the enemy is at any given time. All of them individually, right?
Yes. And if we could somehow stay in touch with Golden Barrel at any given time, the problem is, of course, that Jim burst.
Well, Steelbeard is able to make a connection with Golden Barrel.
I know, but we can't bring Steelbeard with us necessarily.
Well, can we approach...
Unless it becomes a wagon that we bring with us, I suppose. But it would be an awfully big wagon.
Hey.
I'm not a wagon.
Could we approach the harbor of where we're landing without being seen? Like underwater without,
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that.
Steelbeard's pulled that trick off. He can basically like he can let out some fog, right? And then as you're gliding in, he can just become a duck. And by the time you touch land, no one would fucking know the difference. He's pulled this before.
I have the ability to talk to Golden Barrel probably at least once with this, and I take the thing out of my hair, show it. They gave me one of their Golden Barrel flowers, so I keep that in my hair.
Is it possible that Golden Barrel could put their power into a battery like we do?
I don't see why not. In fact, I had the exact same idea. If we were able to infuse this divine power that Golden Barrel has gifted to Rina into a battery, I don't see why we wouldn't have a permanent connection to them. And it wouldn't break like one of the Godstones would, because it's kept in stasis in the battery technology that I've developed.
Could you even make it like a necklace that I could wear?
I can work on it, but it's going to take a day.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be fashionable. It'll be like a large thing.
Yeah.
It'll be
like dog tags.
It'll be
under my clothes anyways. It's not going to be like for showing,
Could I have a tiara? Could you make a tiara with it? That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, like
so if we really
would ever wear that.
No, me. No, I'm not even involving Rina. I want the tiara.
So we can create that advantage. We can find out exactly where they are, and we can use that always. Of course, there is always the possibility that somehow they're not in any way touched to nature. I don't know what that would be, like on the top of a rock or something.
The Kanku. The Kanku doesn't touch the ground. He's on...
Doesn't touch the ground, but like he might be near a tree. I mean, like they don't have to be necessarily touching the ground to be, as long as there's plant life that can see them, or that they can brush up against, or they've walked across, or like pollen could spread from, as long as they're like in the vicinity of plants, the Golden Barrel can get the drop on them.
Thank you, Haldir. We have now one advantage. When we find where they are, we can then develop a sneak attack. So what are our assets? We have these guns that we're going to practice with. We have our batteries that we can all use and all infuse with different powers. We always take the batteries of powers that we don't necessarily have ourselves. And we have, of course, our martial skills, which are, okay. And
mine are pretty great.
Out of all of you, like Rina, like if this was like a television show, right? Every time Rina started to do something physical, the audience would be like, "Oh man, here it comes!" Like here we go, because they know they're getting a show,
right? So we've got Rina and Automil, who are very good with their martial skills.
Yeah.
Fair.
We have the power of fire. We have the power of force. Well, I should say the sun, but fire comes from it.
You have a nuke, and you have invisible magical force energy. That's a pretty good team.
He's also
we got a Jedi, and we got a Fire Lord. So
yep.
Not that the team would know what this is, but because Para has the power of the sun, can he also create radiation?
Interesting question. Not that he knows of, but it's quite possible that he could.
Give everyone cancer?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Probably. But unfortunately, that would be an area of effect, and it would affect a lot of villagers. And
that'd be the other problem. Like he might be able to make radiation, but can he focus radiation?
Well, I mean, it's a good question because, I mean, A, we would have no concept of what radiation is.
Right.
But B, how much does Para know about his own powers? Because, we've all been practicing and studying, but, for instance, how Haldir just, knows what a gun is. How does Para... What does Para know?
No.
I mean, Para's on instinct, right? It's okay, so if I see a place where there's not fire, I can put it there. If I see a place where there is fire, I can take it away.
Okay, but does he have any concept of getting sunburn? And that comes from the sun?
What do you mean?
Because
if you're out in the sun too long, your skin gets hot, and you think, well, I don't burn, but you probably do. But yeah, so I know what that is. Yeah.
So he has a slight concept of radiation. Slight.
Could he? Because that would be a way.
Yeah.
Because that would be a way to take out.
But he knows that it hurts.
Yeah, but I mean,
I guess
he
fire
thinks
doesn't though. He doesn't
Fire
because
doesn't
he
he looks at his skin. It,
even before he was
burns.
a divine creature, he was a dark-skinned individual, so he didn't necessarily.
But
burn like that.
he knows what a sunburn is. It's called a sunburn. He thinks you get it because of the sun. Like they doesn't like those. The concept of radiation doesn't. It's all fire. Do you know what I mean?
Could you give me a sunburn?
It's like fire.
But it doesn't come from fire.
No, but that's how he interprets it because that's how everyone would at this point. No one understands the concept of invisible radiation.
Do you think people back then understood the concept of the sun will make this happen to your skin, but just plain fire won't?
But you can get a burn from sun or from fire.
Like it's
being
something
too
different
close to
about
it.
sunlight.
Question.
He's a witch. Burn him.
I mean, you can get burned by fire. You get burned by the sun. It's just a different kind of burn, but not that
The
different.
pyre will cure this.
Does he float in the river?
Build a bridge out of him. So, fire causes blisters, sun causes blisters, fire reddens, sun reddens. I mean,
And also fire does it
same.
And fire does it much more quickly, right?
That's
so
true.
I guess probably in Paris'
you're in
mind,
direct
he's
contact
like, why
with
would I
it.
care about what the sun can do over a period of many hours when
Right.
He could see it as like the sun's so powerful, right? That fire still can reach you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, even Xion wouldn't have any concept of this at all.
You'd have a better chance too. I mean, Paris,
Right.
very, very sweet, but he's a little
He's
focused.
He didn't go to school.
he didn't go to school. Like he doesn't know how.
I didn't. I dropped out of school. I'm still a little smarter than Para.
It's not. I don't think it's necessarily smart or not. It's just
Right.
that
It's not smart or not.
right.
He's got heart.
He's got heart.
heart smarts.
He's
got
street
heart
smart.
smarts.
He's a street smarts kid. That's what he is.
He is actually kind of a street smarts kid. Yeah, that's true.
And he knows how to make boats and
Yeah.
he knows how to
He went to
You know how to measure dry rice versus wet rice? I don't think you do you?
he went to a technical school instead of that's essentially what happened.
He went to the farming high school, right?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
What we're also forgetting is we have another asset, and that's Dorro. Not his necessarily travel aspect, but his aspect of as being a rogue and knowing cities and generally
Having contacts.
He might be somebody that if this thing with Golden Barrel doesn't work out as well as we hope, would for sure be able to locate at least the underground, the various thieves guilds, and the people we're looking for.
Perhaps talk to the docks, see what ships have come through, that kind of thing.
We're going to assume that they know that we're coming, but they don't know exactly when or where. I say we park Steelbeard slightly out of town, and of course, hide him as something else, like
I can do that.
like the cabin again or something.
Oh, yeah.
How small can you make yourself, or are you always the same mass, Steelbeard? Do you know?
I'll be about this size, yes.
I see. So, so a Trojan horse-sized wagon,
A literal Trojan horse.
There you're right.
That's the answer.
That's the answer. Just become a Trojan horse.
Yay!
No one will suspect it.
We'll just wait till nightfall. Right. I say we park Steelbeard somewhat out of town, and we infiltrate the city, mostly Dorro. Who can, but the problem is if we separate him, he might be captured or worse. It's happened before.
Well, he has his, Dorro's the safest one to send out, right? Because he now, we should run this by Dorro.
How, Dorro, how do you feel about scouting the city before we enter it? Do you think that they'll come for you first and find you, or do you think you'll be able to scout in a way that they won't find you?
I can sneak into the city if that's what you want. Xion, no problem.
I don't know.
Well, it's better than a full-on assault.
My only concern would be someone using poison on me. That's all.
Well, that's a concern always.
So Tiago Reese or something would be a problem. Maybe.
Sure.
Just because, I don't think I could outrun him.
Dorro, if you see Randall, do nothing.
Well, how
Walk
can I
in the
tell
other
you?
direction.
Anyone can just turn into Randall, apparently. So
Just shoot Randall whenever you see him. That's the
just
easy
kill
solution.
everyone.
Kill everyone.
So
That's
no
like
one
Randall.
can be
Yeah.
Randall.
or that. Murder everyone so no Randalls are possible. Sure.
There.
Wow. Okay. We're supposed to be team good.
Roll to hit. Okay.
Can Steelbeard, if, let's say, he made a piece of him, like into a necklace, and Dorro like wore it, would Steelbeard know where that is? Like kind of like how Golden Barrel does.
Steelbeard would have to be within a certain range. So let's say 1,000 feet.
Okay.
For Steelbeard.
So it's like locate
you'd have
object. A spell.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like, locate piece of me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if like he gave a leaf and he were a dock, Dorro can walk up to 1,000 feet from that dock.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Which could be great to keep track of Dorro while he goes into the city.
Right, but
Can't
he
hurt.
can only move 1,000 feet, which won't really help him.
I mean, it's a decent amount. Not great.
really.
Not if you're parked outside of town.
True.
It's kind of hit your limit. Yeah.
Right. Well, the problem with coming into town, we have this giant magical boat in a time when magic is only starting to return, like billowing in fog as it comes in. Perhaps if we came in by nightfall.
That's totally possible too. Also, fog happens all the time. Like no one's going to know it's coming from the boat, so that's helpful.
Well, perhaps.
But also, people know about the Rylandian fog cutters.
Right.
So there's there's a little bit. Yeah. Either way.
Could you create some type of enclosed ship that could travel beneath the surface of the water?
Yes. Well, yes. The air would be a problem. Perhaps for a period of time. And then when you all can't breathe, you tell me to go back up.
Or could you create some type of tube, like an exhaust tube? Because that would be much less noticeable. Is a small
Oh, I see what you mean.
that you could cycle the
Yes.
air that
Like
way.
a bamboo shoot from you.
Yes. I don't see why I could not. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like a plan.
Dive.
Well, no, let's try it just to see. Steelbeard, since we're all here inside the planning room,
Except Dorro.
Right. Where's Dorro?
Dorro! We need for you to come down here for
The whole
just
thing
a
starts
minute
sinking, and he's
because we're going to change We need you to come down here for just a minute to the planning room because we're going to change Steelbeard's form to travel under the water. And you won't be able to breathe.
Hold on.
Take your time to think about this, Steelbeard. Take your time.
He's already doing it. So as you're saying that, now take your time, and the
We all
deck
die
splits
and the
open,
show
right, and
ends.
everything kind of reforms, right?
All right, and Steelbeard, as you change, also keep in mind to add more moss on the inside so that our carbon dioxide, not that I know about this, okay, so that we can breathe from the plants.
Do you know you can breathe from plants?
I think so. Like, people knew about oxygen, certainly.
Did they?
They didn't know about
Does
In like the
Steelbeard-
1400s?
Does
No,
Steelbeard know
not
about it?
quite. No, I don't know about that. You're right.
Would Rina know about the interaction at least between the two? She's all about harmony between plants and animals.
How
Well,
would she
because it's
know?
like I don't know.
I mean,
She would know that
She
everything's
would-
connected and la la la. So she would-
Sure.
we give, they take.
But how would you know about the exchange of oxygen? And
because I have an advanced
how?
degree in microbiology. But
you do. We discovered photosynthesis in 1770.
Yeah.
Plants, oxygen, and light was a Dutch chemist, biologist, and physicist who performed important experiments in the late 1770s that proved that plants produce oxygen. So that's even with magic, it's 350 years
Fair enough.
after we are
Some
where we are.
some
Yeah.
scholar in
Hold
this
there.
world knows about it.
Instead of running around grabbing guns, you should have grabbed a bunch of books. Oh, well.
100% should have done that. Yes.
Well, I mean, if Golden Barrel could think along those lines, they might have told you. But they don't
Yeah, they
perceive
would
it that
probably
way.
know.
Yeah, but how often would you be like, oh, by the way, this is how I breathe?
They would. Yeah. Yeah, they
It would
would.
be a very
for sure.
weird conversation to
It's
have.
like this concept of you thinking about breathing right now. You hyper focus.
Now we're
on
all
it.
Well,
thinking
fair
about it.
enough.
Now we're
Yeah.
all breathing. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Okay, but we could think enough to know that to have a tube made out of bamboo.
You do know that if you're kept in a room without air, you'll die. You do know that. That's happened to people. And you've
Everyone's
been
been
like, wait a
choked
minute.
at some point, to a mild degree, even if he
Right.
was a
Right.
child,
Right.
and they you're,
So maybe, maybe Xion, with your creative mind, you've even considered the fact that being in an enclosed place, people will die. So you're like, wait, no, we need a way to breathe. There's a couple, so he plays with it. It starts to fold up, and there's oh no, and that kind of comes down. Then the front of the ship lifts up, and you all kind of rock backwards, and then he slams that back down. But eventually, he just kind of forms it around you, and then pulls everything in. So the ship gets smaller. It's about 2/3 of the size it was. And you can like see how like the leaves are wrapping around it. Everything's kind of like piling on top of each other. And then a hole forms at an angle forward. And then a hole forms going out the back too, so that air can pass through. And there's a decent breeze, so it seems to be working. And then he just dives down, not far, just right. under the surface. And it takes him.
You don't need to go far.
Yeah, it takes him a while. He goes back down and then pops back up and then like kind of hits the top of the water. So then he's like, hang on. And he tries it a couple times. And eventually you hear everything moving around you. And then you hear water rushing in below you. And as the water rushes in, he's able to dive beneath the surface.
So as in water's rushing in to kill us all, or as in...
No. As in he's created a ballast. He figured out that he has to take water into part of him in order to weigh him down to get underneath the water.
How does he move?
So he can just create a propeller. He can just propel himself.
He's
he can
like a whale.
Yeah, he could create underwater oars that would like ripple along the side of him like a snake would move through water. Like there's lots of options he would have. In fact, let's do that. Like he's just moving panels of wood. They're just coming off and going back just like a snake would slide through water.
Very cool.
Do you see that ship in Ponyo? Like, have you ever watched Ponyo? There's that ship and it does the... It's like
100%.
No, it's a ballast.
Little teeny paddles, yeah. Yeah, like little turtle hands all the way up and down it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. How does that feel, Steelbeard? Are you able to breathe or whatever it is you do?
Well, I do not breathe. As a tree, I take in the carbon dioxide you expel and produce the oxygen you require to breathe.
Oh, excellent.
Dibs, I copyright that.
In fact, now that I think about it, I could just produce oxygen.
And he would pull in the tubes, and he would just grow more moss all around you.
I was using this to filter the water. This makes perfect sense. I'll just produce the oxygen that you need to breathe.
Excellent. Now describe Krebs' cycle to us.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. So anyway, well, actually you do, because you just...
Right, fair.
Oh, that. Yes, that I know.
Okay, so we have this new advantage. We're able to sneak into an area without mostly being seen. Certainly other ships won't see us.
Yeah, he can't go far, but he can dive under the water line. And now that he doesn't have to have a pole sticking out, I mean, it's pretty invisible.
I mean, if somebody is actively looking for us with spy glasses and shit, they can probably see this big thing moving.
Or if you like were on the edge of a dock and you look down and he passed right next to you, you would see that, right? But even like 20, 30 feet out, you're not going to see it.
Yeah, but if you're like, in a castle tower somewhere looking out over the horizon, you won't see this big Steelbeard,
won't see a
ship,
damn thing.
Like moving it. Right, you won't see anything. All right, so we have a way of entry. We come into the city under cover of night. That I'll work with this battery created from Golden Barrel that we'll be able to be in constant contact with them. Dorro can sneak into the city if we're not able to keep this thing working. Can make some contacts and figure out what's going on there, and figure out maybe if they have this massive operation, which apparently they do. They're going to be leaving some footprints.
Right.
We find where those footprints lead. Dorro's the best at that. Dorro, there is to be no direct confrontation. You are not to engage. If you see them coming for you, you get out.
What if he sees LaFleur?
Who said that?
The voice in the back of your head that knows how Dorro operates.
And
who was that?
Yeah, Dorro, just to let you know, anybody that looks like LaFleur is probably not. It's probably either Grabby Hands or is probably Tiago Reese in disguise to trick you.
Yeah. What a jerk. Yeah. I should go after him when I see him.
Yeah, you should totally get that guy. That guy's a jerk.
Yeah. Can I bring Para?
Yeah.
Only if you go in a Baby Bjorn. But, because I just love that.
I do too.
We are an ultimate being when we do that.
We really are.
But no. This is a scouting mission. You're there to find out what's going on, where people are. You're then to report back, and then we make our plan of attack. Well, actually, we're making our plan of attack right now. So we then infiltrate the city all at once. with our planned target of grabby hands. He is our ultimate attack item. Any of our personal vendettas against anybody else need to be put aside because he can make our lives difficult for any sort of attack against anyone else.
Or over. The other option.
I know. I just didn't say that out loud.
Fair.
A voice in my
He
head.
could also kill you. He could kill all of you from what you've explained to me. I mean,
yes,
it sounds very deadly, as if you could all die at any moment.
Do we have to listen to Michael's voice in his head?
All right. Then he resurfaces, I imagine.
Yes, resurface. Yes, that's great. Because now it's time to practice guns.
Thank you for joining us for Season 6, Episode 12, Above and Below. For my DM's notes for this episode, early releases of new episodes, and a ton of other exclusive content, head over to patreon.com/godsfall. To check out my new D&D podcast about monsters with Dylan Mollenfont, check out killeverymonster.com. And we'll see you next time in the world of the Five Kingdoms.